Hey guys. For this week's activity, I chose to do activity number 1, which was taking the creativity test, and then kind of recording your results. But it did say that before you take the test, you should write down what you think your results will say and how you feel about your own creativity. So before I started the test, what I wrote down is that I feel like I am a pretty creative person in certain ways, but throughout the test I learned that maybe in other ways I'm not so creative. So yeah, I think I'm creative in the way of I like to do crafts, or I just got done doing a nail apprenticeship, so you have to be creative in that way. I like to decorate my house. So yeah, I feel like in those ways I'm creative, but in the ways that the test went through, I don't think my creativity is very strong. So the test had some different activities. So for the first activity, it had you choose a word, and then you were supposed to write down as many uses for that object that you could think of in 2 minutes. So for this activity, I asked my husband, who is sitting across the room, to just give me a random object. And the object he said, his suggestion, was a ball. So I set my timer for 2 minutes, and the things I wrote down for the uses of a ball are for sports. I put my Christmas tree up and it's sitting next to me, so I also thought of decorating a tree because I have little balls on my tree. A dog toy. Some people use a ball to massage their back against a wall. A baby toy, and then juggling. Those were the things I wrote down in 2 minutes. I felt like the pressure was on and it was hard to think of things. So the things that it asked with that was the fluency, which was how many uses you can come up with. The originality, which was how uncommon those uses are, which I felt like mine were pretty common uses. The flexibility, so how many areas your answers covered. So I did playing, the tree was looking at, and then I don't know what category massaging your back would fall into, but and then elaboration, so how much detail you could come up with, which mine are pretty self-explanatory, so I don't think there's a ton of detail. So that first activity showed me that I probably wasn't as creative. I think a lot of times I fall into pressure, and when there's a time limit, then I have a hard time being creative. So for the second activity, it had it gave you 2 shapes, which I did, and then it had you draw a picture out of your shape. So my first shape was the top of this, and then you were supposed to make a picture out of it. So I did a guy surfing. I'm a horrible artist, so don't judge that. And then the second one was this shape, and I made it into mountains, snowy with trees. So yeah, I think that, I don't know, no matter what you draw, really, it's creative. And then the third activity was riddles. So it gave a riddle. And the riddle that it gave was, a man has married 20 women in a small town. All of the women are still alive and none of them are divorced. The man has broken no laws, and then it says, who is the man? So I had to think about that one a little bit, which in the end, before I looked at the answer, it does tell the answers at the end of this test, but I was able to come up with the answer before I looked at it, which was a priest. So I thought that was a fun riddle, and I didn't think it was too difficult. The fourth activity is called Remote Associates. So it's like when it gives you 3 words, and then you have to think of a 4th word that connects all of the words. In the test, it was a little bit confusing, so I just Googled Remote Associates test, and like one of the things that came up with was the 3 words were square, cardboard, and open. And I felt like that one was pretty easy. It was a box that describes all of them. And then the one that was in the test, and also the thing I Googled, was time, hair, and stretch. And that one was a little bit harder for me to figure out. But the answer was long. And then the last one is called the candle problem. And it gives you the description of you being given a candle, a box of thumbtacks, and a book of matches. And it wants you to attach the candle, a lit candle, to the wall so that it will not drop wax onto the table below. And I had a difficult time thinking about this because I think you want to like attach the candle to the wall in some way, which I couldn't figure it out. So I asked my husband, and he did figure it out, and then I clicked to find out the answer. But the solution they want you to do is to dump out the tacks, attach the tack box to the wall with a tack, and then put the candle in the box and light it. So yeah, that one kind of also proved to me that I'm not as creative as I thought I was. So I think that for me, I think I'm not very creative in thinking outside the box. So, like I said in the beginning, I'm very creative in my own ways, but the ways that were in this test, I feel like I struggled a little bit with the things in the test. And then it says, do you agree with the interpretation? And just like I said, I don't think I'm very creative in the ways of this test. So how I can apply this knowledge to my life is maybe thinking outside the box more. I tend to like think too much in like a structure. I'm not very good at trying to think of other things. So maybe I can try to do better on that. And then a question that I had for you guys is, in what ways do you feel your creativity would surprise you? I thought that was a good question because it surprised me taking this test, just seeing where my creativity was at. So in what ways do you feel your creativity would surprise you?